There are things a woman does that she thinks no man notices, but a man who is truly paying attention sees them all. Not just her beauty, but her energy, her silence, her reactions, and the way she treats people when she has nothing to gain. And today, I will reveal 7 subtle things men notice that women rarely realize. And by the end, you may never look at yourself the same way again. Before we continue, answer this honestly. What do you think men notice first? The way a woman looks or the way she makes them feel? Tell me in the comments. What is one thing you believe men notice about women that women themselves completely underestimate? Because sometimes, what you think is invisible is the very thing that speaks the loudest. Number 1, the way she treats people cannot benefit her. There is a simple way to understand a person's character. Do not watch how they treat someone they want to impress. Watch how they treat someone they do not need. This is one of the quietest tests of character, because when there is nothing to gain, the performance often disappears. A woman may be beautiful, she may be intelligent, she may speak with confidence, she may know exactly how to present herself in public. But a man who is paying attention will often notice something much deeper. He notices how she treats the waiter, how she speaks to an elderly person, how she reacts when someone makes a small mistake, how she treats a stranger who cannot give her status, money, attention, or opportunity. These moments may seem ordinary, but ordinary moments reveal extraordinary things. Because when there is no reward attached to kindness, kindness becomes a choice. And choices reveal character. Many people are polite when they want something. They become patient when they need approval. They become generous when generosity will be noticed. They smile when someone important enters the room. But wisdom teaches us to look beyond the performance. A person's real nature often appears when nobody important is watching. This does not mean a woman must be perfect. She will have difficult days. She will become irritated. She will sometimes speak too quickly. She will sometimes lose patience. That is human. What matters is what happens after the mistake. Does she recognize it? Does she take responsibility? Can she say, "I was wrong"? Can she apologize without creating excuses? Can she correct herself without blaming everyone around her? These things are powerful. A mature man does not expect perfection from a woman. He watches for self-awareness. There is a great difference between a person who makes mistakes and a person who refuses to see them. The first can grow, the second remains trapped. And this is where psychology becomes interesting. People reveal their values through repeated behavior. You do not need to ask someone, "Are you a kind person?" Watch them. You do not need to ask, "Are you respectful?" Observe them when they are frustrated. You do not need to ask, "Do you have emotional maturity?" Watch what happens when they do not get what they want. A woman may say, "I respect everyone." But if she humiliates people when she is angry, her behavior is telling a different story. She may say, "I am a peaceful person." But if every disagreement becomes a battle, there is another story beneath the words. Words can describe who we want to be. Behavior reveals who we are becoming. And men notice this, not always consciously. Sometimes they simply feel something. They may not be able to explain why they feel comfortable around one woman and uneasy around another. They may not have the vocabulary to describe emotional stability, self-awareness, or character, but they can experience it. They feel the difference between someone who brings peace into a room and someone who constantly demands emotional energy from everyone around her. And there is another subtle thing men notice. How does she behave when she has power? This is important. A person's character is not only revealed by how they behave when they are powerless. It is also revealed by what they do when they know they can get away with something. Give someone authority, give them attention, give them influence, then observe them. Do they become arrogant? Do they begin treating people as though they are beneath them? Or do they remain grounded? True strength does not need to announce itself. A secure woman does not need to make another woman feel small in order to feel important. She does not need to humiliate someone weaker to prove that she is strong. She does not need an audience for every good thing she does. She simply acts according to her values. That is rare, and what is rare is often noticed. There is also something beautiful about kindness without performance. When a woman helps someone without turning it into a story, there is a quiet dignity in it. When she listens to someone without constantly checking her phone, there is presence. When she speaks respectfully to someone who cannot offer her anything, there is depth. These small moments create an invisible picture. A man may forget a particular sentence she said. He may forget what she was wearing, but he may remember how she made people feel. That is because human beings are emotional observers. We collect small signals, a tone of voice, a facial expression, a reaction, a pause, a gesture. One moment may mean nothing, but repeated moments create a pattern, and patterns are difficult to hide. So if you are a woman listening to this, do not become obsessed with what men are noticing. That would miss the entire lesson. The goal is not to perform goodness because someone is watching. The goal is to become the kind of person whose goodness remains when nobody is watching. There is the difference. One is strategy, the other is character, and character is what remains when beauty changes, circumstances change, attention changes, and life becomes difficult. A wise woman does not ask, "How can I make people admire me?" She asks, "Who am I when there is nothing to gain?" That question can change a life, because when your behavior is no longer controlled by applause, you become free. And when a person becomes free from the need to impress, something changes in their presence. Their kindness becomes natural. Their confidence becomes quieter. Their boundaries become clearer. Their relationships become healthier. And people begin to trust what they see. But there is another layer. A man is not only watching how a woman treats other people, he is also watching what happens when she chooses not to speak. Because sometimes the most powerful message is not carried by words at all. And this is where we enter something even more revealing. Her silence, number 2. What her silence reveals that her words hide. Silence is often misunderstood. Some people believe silence means weakness. Others use silence as punishment. But there is another kind of silence. The silence of awareness. The silence of someone who does not need to react to everything. A woman can reveal a great deal without saying a single word. Watch what happens when someone provokes her. Does she immediately react? Does she rush to defend herself? Does she explain herself again and again? Does she send 10 messages because someone has misunderstood her? Or can she pause? That pause tells a story, because the ability to pause between emotion and action is one of the strongest forms of self-control. You feel something, but you do not immediately become that feeling. You are angry, but you do not have to become anger. You are hurt, but you do not have to become revenge. You are afraid, but you do not have to let fear decide your next action. The space between feeling and responding is where freedom lives. And men notice women who possess that space, not because they expect women to remain silent. A healthy woman should speak. She should communicate. She should express what she needs. She should say when something is unacceptable. Silence does not mean tolerating disrespect. Silence means knowing when words will create understanding and when words will only create more noise. There is a difference between communication and emotional reaction. Imagine someone says something insulting. One person immediately attacks. Another begins explaining herself for 20 minutes. Another sends messages to 5 friends. Another posts something indirect online. And another simply looks at the situation and thinks, "Does this deserve my energy?" That question is powerful. Not everything deserves an answer. Not every accusation deserves a defense. Not every misunderstanding needs a courtroom. Not every person deserves access to your emotions. This is one of the deepest lessons of emotional maturity. Attention is energy. Where you place your attention, you place a part of your life. So a wise woman becomes selective. She does not allow every person to enter her mind and rearrange the furniture. She understands that peace is not created by controlling everyone around her. Peace is created by controlling her participation. But there is a darker side to silence. Some people become silent because they are afraid. They swallow their feelings because they fear abandonment. They stay quiet because they believe speaking honestly will make someone leave. That is not strength, that is self-abandonment. True silence comes from choice. Suppression comes from fear. They may look similar from the outside, but internally they are completely different. A woman who says nothing because she is afraid has given away her power. A woman who chooses silence because she understands the situation has protected her power. This is why wisdom requires awareness. Ask yourself, am I silent because I am peaceful or because I am afraid? That question can expose an entire pattern. Perhaps you have spent years explaining yourself to people who were committed to misunderstanding you. Perhaps you have tried to convince someone of your value. Perhaps you have repeatedly told someone how their behavior hurt you, hoping that the perfect explanation would suddenly create empathy. But sometimes the problem is not that your message was unclear. The problem is that the person did not want to hear it. And when you understand that, your behavior changes. You stop over-explaining. You stop begging for basic respect. You stop chasing clarity from someone who benefits from keeping you confused. You begin observing, and observation is powerful. Because when you stop filling every silence with words, other people's behavior becomes easier to see. Silence gives you information. When you stop chasing someone, you discover whether they were walking toward you or simply enjoying being chased. When you stop constantly initiating, you discover who initiates. When you stop solving every problem, you discover who is willing to contribute. When you stop explaining every boundary, you discover who respects it without needing a debate. Silence does not create truth, it reveals it. This is why a woman who has learned the power of silence can become very difficult to manipulate. She does not react according to someone else's emotional rhythm. Someone becomes angry. She does not automatically become angry. Someone withdraws. She does not automatically chase. Someone provokes. She does not automatically perform. She watches. She breathes. She thinks. Then she chooses. That is emotional discipline. And emotional discipline creates a different kind of presence. You can feel when someone is desperate for approval. They constantly check how people are reacting. They change their opinions to fit the room. They fear being disliked. They speak more when they feel insecure. But a woman who knows her values does not need every room to approve of her. She can sit quietly. She can disagree respectfully. She can leave without creating a dramatic scene. She can say no without writing an essay explaining why. She can hear criticism without immediately collapsing. This does not make her cold. It makes her grounded. And grounded people are powerful because they are not easily moved by every external storm. But here is the important part. Silence should never become a game. Do not use silence to manipulate. Do not disappear to make someone panic. Do not withhold affection simply to gain control. That is not wisdom. That is another form of insecurity. Healthy silence is not designed to make another person suffer. It is designed to give yourself enough space to see clearly. Sometimes the most mature sentence is, "I need some time to think before I respond." That sentence can prevent an entire relationship from being damaged by one emotional moment. A woman who learns this does not become less expressive. She becomes more intentional. Her words become fewer when fewer words are needed. And when she does speak, people listen because they know she is not speaking simply to fill the air. Her silence has taught them something. Her words have weight because she does not throw them everywhere. And this leads naturally to another place where character becomes visible, because it is easy to appear calm when everything is going your way. The real test comes when life refuses to cooperate, when someone disappoints you, when plans collapse, when someone disrespects you, when you are under pressure, when you do not get what you wanted. That is where the deepest form of observation begins, because a person's true strength is not revealed when life is comfortable. It is revealed when comfort disappears. Number 3. How she handles disrespect, pressure, and conflict Every person will face conflict. No relationship escapes misunderstanding. No family avoids disagreement. No friendship remains perfect. No life moves smoothly forever. So the question is not, will conflict happen? It will. The deeper question is, who do you become when it happens? This is something people notice. A man may admire a woman's appearance when life is easy, but he learns much more about her character when something goes wrong. Suppose she is disappointed, does she communicate? Suppose someone crosses a boundary, does she address it? Suppose someone disagrees with her, can she remain respectful? Suppose she is angry, can she control what she says? These moments reveal emotional strength. There is a major difference between having emotions and being controlled by emotions. A strong woman can feel deeply without allowing every feeling to become an action. She can be angry and still think. She can be hurt and still maintain dignity. She can be disappointed without destroying everything around her. This is not about becoming emotionless. Emotion is not weakness. Uncontrolled emotion is simply unmanaged energy, and energy can be trained. Imagine a woman receives a message that upsets her. Her first impulse is to respond immediately. She begins typing. Her heart is racing. She wants the other person to feel exactly what she feels. But instead of pressing send, she waits. She takes a breath. She reads the message again. She asks, what outcome do I actually want? That one question can change the entire conversation, because anger wants release. Wisdom wants direction. Anger asks, how can I make them hurt? Wisdom asks, what response protects my dignity and creates the clearest outcome? Those are very different questions. A woman who learns this becomes harder to pull into unnecessary drama. She does not need to win every argument. She needs to understand what matters. Some conflicts deserve conversation. Some require a boundary. Some require distance. And some are not worth participating in at all. Wisdom is knowing the difference. This is also where boundaries become important. A boundary is not a threat. It is not, if you do this, I will punish you. A boundary is, if this continues, I will choose what I need to protect myself. That is different. A woman with healthy boundaries does not need to scream. She does not need to intimidate. She does not need to prove that she is powerful. She simply becomes consistent. If someone repeatedly disrespects her, she does not keep giving endless warnings. She changes her access. She changes her participation. She changes her distance. That is communication through action, and action is often clearer than 100 speeches. But there is another side to this. Some women believe being strong means never admitting they are wrong. That is not strength. That is ego. A truly strong person can say, I misunderstood. I reacted badly. I should not have said that. I was wrong. Those words do not reduce dignity. They demonstrate it. The insecure person protects an image. The mature person protects truth, and sometimes protecting truth means admitting that your own behavior contributed to the problem. This is difficult because the ego wants innocence. It wants to say, they made me do it, but nobody can make you choose your response. They may influence your emotions. They may provoke you. They may treat you badly, but your response remains your responsibility. That is where personal power begins. When you stop saying, they made me angry, and begin saying, I allowed anger to control my response, you regain something important: choice. You may not control another person's behavior, but you can train your own. This is why pressure reveals character. Watch someone when they are tired. Watch them when they are losing. Watch them when they are criticized. Watch them when they are told no. Watch them when someone else receives attention. These situations reveal hidden beliefs. If a woman becomes cruel whenever she feels insecure, insecurity is controlling her. If she becomes jealous whenever another woman succeeds, comparison is controlling her. If she becomes aggressive whenever someone disagrees, ego is controlling her. But if she can pause, observe herself, and choose a better response, something powerful is happening. She is training herself. And self-training is one of the deepest forms of freedom. A woman does not become powerful by controlling everyone around her. She becomes powerful by becoming increasingly difficult to control from the outside. That means her mood is not determined by every comment. Her self-worth is not determined by one person's attention. Her dignity is not determined by whether someone chooses her. Her peace is not dependent on whether everyone agrees with her. This does not mean she stops caring. It means she stops surrendering herself. There is a quiet confidence in that, and men notice it. They notice when a woman can disagree without disrespect. They notice when she can stand firm without becoming cruel. They notice when she can walk away from an argument instead of destroying the relationship just to win. They notice when she can listen. They notice when she can speak. They notice when she can forgive without becoming naive. And they notice when she knows the difference between forgiveness and allowing repeated harm. A wise woman can forgive someone and still change their access to her life. That is not bitterness. That is learning. You do not have to hate the person who taught you a lesson. You simply do not need to repeat the lesson. This is one of the most important forms of maturity. Life will introduce people who test your patience. Some will test your boundaries. Some will test your confidence. Some will test your ability to remain calm. Do not see every difficult person as an enemy. Sometimes they are revealing where you still need to grow. The person who provokes you may be showing you that you still react too quickly. The person who ignores your boundary may be showing you that you have not enforced it. The person who constantly drains you may be showing you that you have not learned to say no. The situation becomes a mirror. And once you understand the mirror, you stop blaming the reflection. You begin training yourself. This is why a woman with inner strength becomes different. She does not need to announce that she has standards. Her decisions show them. She does not need to announce that she respects herself. Her choices demonstrate it. She does not need to tell everyone that she is confident. Her calmness communicates it. And there is something deeply attractive about a person who does not need to prove their worth. Not because they are trying to attract anyone, but because they have stopped abandoning themselves. That is the deeper lesson behind all three observations. A man may notice the way a woman treats people. He may notice what she does in silence. He may notice how she behaves under pressure. But the woman herself should not live merely to be noticed. She should live according to principles she respects. Because when you build your character for an audience, your character disappears when the audience leaves. But when you build it for yourself, it remains. And then something unexpected happens. You stop asking, "Do they see my value?" And you begin asking, "Do my actions reflect the person I want to become?" That is a much more powerful question, because the goal is not to become a woman whom every man notices. The goal is to become a woman who has become so deeply rooted in her own values that she no longer needs constant recognition to remain standing. And once a person reaches that place, there are still quieter signs to observe, because character is not only revealed through major events, it is hidden inside ordinary habits. And what looks like a small daily habit may reveal an entire inner world. Number 4, the difference between confidence and the need for elevation. There is a kind of confidence that makes noise, and there is another kind that barely speaks. The first needs to be seen, the second does not. This is one of the most interesting things people notice about each other, often without realizing they are noticing it. A woman may walk into a room with perfect clothes, perfect hair, perfect makeup, and a carefully prepared image. But none of these things can hide insecurity forever, because confidence is not simply how you look when everything is going well. Confidence is how you carry yourself when nobody is giving you attention. Can you sit quietly without needing someone to notice you? Can you enjoy yourself without checking who is watching? Can you disagree without becoming defensive? Can you receive criticism without feeling that your entire identity has been attacked? Can you celebrate another woman without secretly comparing yourself to her? These are quiet signs, and they tell much more than appearance ever could. Many people confuse confidence with attention. They think confidence means entering a room and making everyone look at them. But that is often performance. Real confidence can enter a room and simply exist. It does not need to dominate. It does not need to compete. It does not need to announce itself. A confident woman knows that another woman's beauty does not reduce her own. Another woman's success does not take anything away from her. Another woman's relationship does not make her less worthy. Another person's opinion does not define her identity. This is important because insecurity often creates competition where none is necessary. When you do not know your own value, you constantly measure yourself against others. You look at another woman's body, her career, her relationship, her lifestyle, her age, her appearance, her social life. And without realizing it, you begin living according to a scoreboard that you never agreed to. But a wise woman steps away from that scoreboard. She understands that life is not one competition. Your path is your path. Your timing is your timing. Your lessons are your lessons. You do not have to arrive where someone else has arrived. And you do not have to prove that your life is better than theirs. There is enormous freedom in that. This is also why a woman who does not constantly seek validation becomes difficult to manipulate. If someone knows you desperately need approval, they can control you through approval. They praise you and you move closer. They withdraw praise and you become anxious. They give attention and you feel valuable. They remove attention and you begin questioning yourself. This creates emotional dependence. And emotional dependence can make a person accept things they would normally reject. A woman who knows her own value does not become emotionally drunk on compliments. She can appreciate praise without becoming dependent on it. She can receive criticism without allowing it to destroy her. She can hear someone say, "You are amazing," without thinking, "Now I am valuable." And she can hear someone say, "You are not enough," without thinking, "Now I have no value." Her identity is deeper than both statements. That is emotional independence. It does not mean you stop caring about people. It means you stop handing them the keys to your self-worth. There is another subtle form of validation that people often overlook: the need to explain yourself. Sometimes we explain because communication is necessary. But sometimes we explain because we are desperate to be understood. There is a difference. You say what happened, the other person disagrees. So you explain again, they still disagree. You explain a third time. Soon you are spending an hour trying to convince someone to see you exactly as you see yourself. But not everyone will understand you. And not everyone has earned a complete explanation. A mature woman can say what she means clearly and allow another person to interpret it differently. She does not need to control every opinion. This is confidence. Confidence says, "I know what I experienced. I know what I meant. I know what I will accept. I do not need everyone to agree." That is a very different energy from insecurity. Insecurity says, "Please understand me." Confidence says, "I have explained myself clearly. What you choose to believe is yours." This is not arrogance. It is emotional freedom. And there is an even deeper test. Watch how a woman responds when she is ignored. Someone does not text back. Someone does not compliment her. Someone does not invite her. Someone chooses another person. What happens inside her? Does she immediately assume she is not good enough? Does she chase? Does she become jealous? Does she create a story in her mind? Or does she pause and remember? Another person's choice is information. It is not a definition of my worth. That sentence can protect a person from years of unnecessary suffering. Rejection can hurt. Of course it can. But rejection does not always mean something is wrong with you. Sometimes two people simply do not fit. Sometimes timing is wrong. Sometimes values are different. Sometimes someone is unable to give what you need. And sometimes a closed door is simply a closed door. You do not have to spend your life standing outside it, knocking until your hands hurt. Confidence is knowing when to stop asking for permission to belong. And this is something people notice. They notice when your mood changes because one person looked away. They notice when your confidence rises because someone complimented you. They notice when your energy collapses because someone criticized you. But they also notice the opposite. They notice the woman who remains grounded, The woman who smiles because she is genuinely happy, not because someone is watching. The woman who can walk into a room alone and still feel complete. The woman who does not need to be the most beautiful person in the room to feel comfortable in her own skin. The woman who does not compete for every conversation. The woman who can celebrate someone else's success without feeling threatened. That kind of confidence is quiet. And quiet strength has a particular power. It cannot easily be taken away, because it was never borrowed from other people. But confidence does not grow from positive thoughts alone. It grows from the relationship you have with yourself. And that relationship is built through your daily behavior. The promises you keep to yourself, the standards you maintain, the habits you repeat, the things you do when nobody is watching, because your daily habits are constantly telling you who you are. And when you understand that, you begin to see that a woman's smallest habits can reveal more about her than her most beautiful words. Number 5. What her daily habits reveal about her and world. People often think character is revealed through dramatic moments, a crisis, a breakup, a major success, a serious argument. But character is usually built somewhere much quieter, in the morning, in the small choices. In the routines nobody sees, in the way you speak to yourself, in the way you use your time, in what you tolerate repeatedly. Your habits are votes. Every day, you vote for the person you are becoming. One small choice may seem meaningless, but repeated choices create identity. If you constantly break promises to yourself, you slowly teach your mind that your own word cannot be trusted. If you repeatedly ignore your boundaries, you teach yourself that your comfort does not matter. If you constantly seek distraction whenever you feel uncomfortable, you teach yourself to escape instead of grow. But when you keep small promises to yourself, something changes. You begin trusting yourself. And self-trust creates confidence from the inside. This is why a man may notice things that a woman believes are too small to matter. How does she spend her time? Does she have a life outside the relationship? Does she have interests? Does she take care of the responsibilities in front of her? Does she constantly complain about everything? Does she spend every free moment watching what other people are doing? Does she have goals? Does she keep learning? Does she respect her own health and energy? These things create a picture, not a perfect picture. A human picture. Nobody has perfect habits. The point is not perfection. The point is direction. Where is your life moving? A woman who has discipline does not need to talk constantly about discipline. Her routine speaks. She gets up when she said she would. She completes what she promised. She manages her responsibility. She rests when she needs rest. She works when work is required. She does not wait for motivation to appear before taking action. That creates inner strength. And there is something else. Watch how someone spends time when nobody is demanding anything from them. That reveals priorities. When the phone is silent, when there is no audience, when nobody is asking for anything. What does she do? Does she immediately search for stimulation, or can she sit with herself? Can she read, walk, think, create, learn, rest, reflect? A person who cannot be alone with their own thoughts may spend their entire life running from themselves, but solitude can become a teacher. When you sit quietly, uncomfortable thoughts begin to rise. Old fears, old regrets, old questions. This is where many people reach for their phone, not because they need it, because silence has become uncomfortable. But if you stay long enough, you begin to understand something. Thoughts are not commands. A thought can appear without needing to be believed. An emotion can arise without needing to control your behavior. You can observe yourself. And observation creates distance. That distance creates choice. This is why daily habits are more powerful than temporary motivation. Motivation says, I feel inspired today. Discipline says, I will do what matters even when I do not feel inspired. A woman who understands this becomes less dependent on emotional highs. She does not need to feel perfect before taking care of her life. She does not need someone to encourage her every morning. She develops an inner structure. An inner structure becomes visible. Another habit people notice is how you speak about others. If every conversation is filled with gossip, resentment, and criticism, it tells people something. Not necessarily that you are a bad person, but it may reveal where your attention lives. A person who constantly studies other people's lives can forget to build their own. A woman who spends hours discussing another woman's relationship may be avoiding questions about her own. A woman who constantly criticizes someone's appearance may be fighting something inside herself. A woman who constantly complains about everyone may have forgotten the difference between observation and bitterness. This is why awareness matters. Ask yourself, what do I repeatedly talk about? Because what you repeatedly talk about often reveals what occupies your mind. And what occupies your mind eventually shapes your life. There is also the habit of complaining. Complaining can sometimes be healthy. You need to acknowledge problems. You need to speak when something is wrong. But there is a difference between identifying a problem and building an identity around the problem. One says, "This is difficult. What can I do?" The other says, "Everything is terrible. Nothing ever changes." The first creates movement. The second creates helplessness. A wise woman learns to ask a different question. Not, "Why is this happening to me?" but, "What is this situation asking me to learn?" That question does not deny pain. It transforms pain into information. Maybe the lesson is boundaries, maybe patience, maybe courage, maybe acceptance, maybe leaving, maybe staying, maybe forgiving, maybe becoming stronger. Life does not always give you the lesson you wanted, but there is often something you can learn from what you were given. And this is where habits become connected to character. A woman who repeatedly chooses growth develops a different relationship with difficulty. She does not expect life to be easy. She expects herself to become stronger. That is a powerful shift. You stop asking, "How can I avoid every difficult situation?" and begin asking, "How can I become someone who can handle difficult situations wisely?" That is maturity. And men notice maturity because it creates stability, not boring stability, grounded stability. The kind where a person does not collapse every time life changes direction. The kind where you know what matters. The kind where your values remain when circumstances change. There is also something deeply attractive about someone who has a life of her own. She has interests, she has friendships, she has goals, she has quiet routines. She has things she enjoys that do not depend on another person. This matters because love should add to your life, not replace your life. When a relationship becomes someone's entire identity, fear enters. What if they leave? What will I do? Who will I be? But when you have built a relationship with yourself, love becomes a choice rather than a survival strategy. You can love someone deeply without disappearing inside them. You can care without clinging. You can be devoted without abandoning yourself. That is a different kind of strength. And daily habits are where that strength begins. Wake up, keep promises, take care of your space. Take care of your responsibility. Move your body, learn something. Spend time in silence. Choose your friendships carefully. Speak honestly. Rest without guilt. And when you fail, begin again. Simple actions. Repeated over time. This is how character is forged. Not in one dramatic decision, but in hundreds of quiet decisions that nobody applauds. And when those decisions accumulate, your presence changes. You do not need to tell people that you have changed. They can feel it. Because the way you carry yourself becomes different. Your reactions become slower. Your standards become clearer. Your words become more deliberate. Your attention becomes more valuable. Your life becomes less chaotic. And there is one more layer that reveals itself only when a person has developed this inner structure. Because even a disciplined woman can carry an energy that changes depending on who enters the room. Some people become completely different around certain people. They become nervous. They become desperate to impress. They become unusually quiet, or they become excessively loud. They lose themselves trying to manage another person's perception. But when a woman becomes deeply rooted in herself, something changes. Her energy becomes more consistent. And this brings us to the most subtle thing people notice. Not what a woman says about her energy, but the small changes in it when someone enters her world. Number 6. The small changes in her energy that men quietly notice. Energy is a word people use often, but it does not have to mean something mysterious. Think of energy as the combination of your attention, emotional state, body language, tone, presence, and behavior. People read these signals constantly. Sometimes before a single word is spoken, you can walk into a room smiling while your body is tense. You can say, "I am fine," while your face says something else. You can tell someone you do not care while checking your phone every 30 seconds to see whether they responded. Human beings are sensitive to these contradictions, and men notice them too. One of the clearest examples is how a woman changes around someone she deeply wants approval from. Her voice may become different. She may become more nervous. She may talk more. She may laugh at things she does not find funny. She may agree with opinions she does not actually hold. She may constantly check whether the other person is pleased. Why? Because attention has become evaluation. She is no longer simply experiencing the moment. She is monitoring herself. How am I doing? Do they like me? Did I say the right thing? Did they notice me? This creates tension, and tension is often visible. Compare that with someone who is comfortable being herself. She listens, she responds, she laughs when something is funny, she disagrees when she disagrees. She does not perform an identity, she is present. Presence is powerful because it feels honest. And honesty does not mean saying every thought that enters your mind. It means your outer behavior is not constantly fighting your inner values. If you believe something is wrong, you do not pretend it is right simply to be accepted. If you dislike something, you do not force yourself to love it for approval. If you need space, you communicate it. If you care, you show it. If you do not know, you can say, "I don't know." There is freedom in that. Another subtle change people notice is how a woman responds when attention decreases. At first, everything is exciting. Messages are frequent. Conversations are long. Attention is strong, then something changes. Perhaps the other person becomes busy. Perhaps communication becomes less frequent. Perhaps the relationship enters a normal stage instead of an exciting stage. This is where insecurity can reveal itself. Some people become frantic when attention decreases. They send more messages. They create tests. They become cold to provoke pursuit. They post things hoping someone will react. They create jealousy. They withdraw affection to regain control. But these behaviors often create the very distance they fear. A mature person does something different. They observe. They communicate when communication is necessary, and then they allow the other person's behavior to speak. That is important. Do not become addicted to potential. Watch patterns. Someone can say beautiful things for a week, but what happens over months? Someone can promise respect. Do they practice it? Someone can say they care. Do their actions show care? Someone can tell you that you are important. Do they make room for you? Words create possibility. Pause create evidence, and wise people learn to watch evidence. This applies to yourself too. You may say, "I am confident," but how do you behave when someone criticizes you? You may say, "I have strong boundaries," but what do you tolerate when you are afraid of losing someone? You may say, "I am independent," but what happens when you are alone? These questions are not designed to shame you. They are designed to reveal you to yourself, because self-awareness is not self-judgment. It is clear seeing, and clear seeing creates change. There is another form of energy that men notice, the energy of peace. Some people enter a room and immediately create tension. Everything becomes a problem. Someone is too loud. Someone is too quiet. Someone said something wrong. Someone did not respond correctly. Someone is not paying enough attention. Their mind is constantly looking for threats. Other people become careful around them, not because they are respected, because they are unpredictable. Then there are people who bring calm. They do not need every situation to revolve around them. They listen. They do not rush. They can sit through an uncomfortable moment without immediately trying to escape it. That does not mean they never speak. It means they are not controlled by urgency. And there is a difference between urgency and importance. Everything can feel urgent when your nervous system is constantly activated. But not everything deserves immediate action. Sometimes you need 10 minutes. Sometimes you need one night. Sometimes you need to walk before you speak. Sometimes you need to sleep before making a decision. A calm person creates space, and space creates clarity. This is why inner peace can become visible. Your face relaxes, your voice becomes steadier, your reactions become less dramatic, your attention becomes stronger. You stop looking for hidden meanings in every sentence. You stop turning every delayed message into a personal rejection. You stop treating every disagreement as a threat. You begin seeing situations as they are. That is powerful, because when you stop fighting imaginary battles, you have more energy for real life. And this is where the 7 things begin to connect. The way you treat people reveals your values. Your silence reveals your self-control. Your response to conflict reveals your emotional maturity. Your relationship with validation reveals your inner security. Your daily habits reveal your discipline. And your energy reveals whether these qualities are truly becoming part of you. Notice the pattern. It is not about becoming attractive enough to make someone notice you. It is about becoming honest enough that what they notice is real. That is a much deeper path. Do not build your character as a strategy to attract a man. Build it because you have to live with yourself every morning. Build your confidence because you deserve to trust yourself. Build your boundaries because your peace matters. Build your discipline because your future depends on repeated actions. Build your emotional control because your reactions shape your relationships. Build your inner life because no external relationship can permanently fill an empty one. And if someone notices these qualities, let them notice. If they appreciate them, receive the appreciation. If they do not, continue walking, because the greatest transformation happens when you stop asking, "Am I impressive enough for someone else?" and start asking, "Am I becoming someone I deeply respect?" That question changes the direction of a life. It takes you away from performance, away from comparison, away from chasing, away from constant approval, and towards something quieter. Self-respect, not the loud kind, the kind that appears when nobody is watching, the kind that allows you to walk away from what repeatedly harms you, the kind that allows you to stay when something deserves patience, the kind that allows you to apologize without feeling small, the kind that allows you to receive love without becoming dependent on it, the kind that allows you to be alone without feeling abandoned. And perhaps this is what people notice most, not perfection, not beauty, not a carefully constructed image, but congruence. When your words, choices, boundaries, habits, and energy begin pointing in the same direction, people feel it. There is no need to announce it. There is no need to prove it. It simply becomes part of your presence. And when you reach that place, you no longer live your life asking who is watching. You begin living according to what you know is right. That is when attention loses its power over you. That is when approval becomes optional. That is when silence becomes peaceful rather than fearful. That is when conflict becomes a lesson rather than a battlefield. That is when your habits begin building a life you no longer need to escape from. And that is when your energy changes. Not because you learned how to make people notice you, but because you finally stopped abandoning yourself just to be noticed. When you become comfortable standing in your own truth, you no longer need to chase attention. Your presence begins to speak before you do.